Good morning and welcome to the Backlog Files. I am Adam. Continuing our run of indie showcases, where we're going to talk about independent games, some of the cool ones that I've been seeing from around Steam and things like that. Last week we had 2 episodes because we had the original plan, which was to do just Bookbound early in the week, and then we got a code for Repose, which we ended up doing later in the week. So this week we only have one, as of right now, unless more codes come in. We're talking about Merchant 64. Now, we did not get a code for this. This is a game that I bought outright. And this is another one of these, like, sales, business simulator games. We see these a lot now. If you go on Steam, there's no shortage of them. A lot of them look kind of the same, too. And what stood out for me about this one is the visual style of it. When I saw it, I was like, oh, this looks really cool because it's called Merchant 64. It's designed to look like the Nintendo 64, PlayStation 1 era of video games. Specifically Nintendo 64, that blocky, early 3D, style. And on that level, I can appreciate it. I can appreciate it for that art style. And I think that the art style is something that will carry this game's level of enjoyment that I had, because I think it plays too much like an idle game for me. So basically, what the premise is you are a merchant. You want to buy stuff when it's cheap, sell it when it's more expensive, run your business that way. And there's a table you can look at. The table tells you how much things are worth each day. Where you can buy it and sell it at the same price. Either like the junk is 1 or 2. The second level is like 3 to 7, and I think it's like 11 to 15 for the third one. And what you'll do is you'll buy it when it's cheap, sell it when it's expensive, rinse and repeat until you get enough money to buy upgrades and stuff. And you can also interact with townspeople, and they'll also buy and sell. Sometimes they'll want to buy for less than it's worth. Sometimes they want to buy it for more than it's worth by a substantial margin. Sometimes they'll want to sell you stuff cheaper than that day's rates. Great. My issue with the game is that is the beginning and end of the gameplay. Everything that goes into this game is designed to alter that general gameplay flow. You go to town, you buy shit, you try to sell it in a different town, you go to the inn to sleep, next day you do the same thing, over and over and over again. To an extent, it's retail simulator. It is this soul-crushing simulator of what it's like to work a retail job. You do this every day for the rest of your life, and then you're done. The difference is there's an optimism to it that you can get out of the cycle. There is a thing where you can go to this little forest area and find more of the junk to sell, but once you reach a certain point, selling the junk isn't really worth it because it only goes for up to 2. And early in the game, you can get 3 for it, but as the game goes on, you're less likely to get that because as the game goes on and you unlock more and more, more levels of stuff, because there is easy, you get the bigger bag, and then you get the second level, you get the large bag or the biggest bag, and you get the third level. So the idea that this game is going to, as that goes on, you're going to encounter people who will want the different levels of stuff, which will decrease the likelihood that someone will be willing to buy your junk for 3 coins. And that fundamentally is kind of my issue here, is that it's yeah, there are upgrades throughout the game to make you move faster. Yeah, there are things like that. I have a hard time playing this game for a long period of time. It's not like Bookbound, where we talked about Bookbound a few weeks ago, or last week, and that was a game that I lost time playing. Or Balatro, which is a game that I lost time playing for several days. Or even going back and playing the Archipelago randomizer for Sonic Adventure 2, which I've been doing a lot of lately. That's something I've lost time doing. Yesterday I was playing it while I was watching The Last of Us and then watching the rehearsal. And 2 days prior, I was playing it while I was watching, what's that game? While I was watching Doctor Who and then Mission Impossible 2. it's one of those things where it's like, that's what I'm looking for out of a simulator game, especially. Something like Stardew Valley, where Stardew Valley I will get into, and then it's like, oh shit, it's 2 in the morning. Oh fuck, I have to go to work tomorrow. That kind of thing is the experience I'm looking for. And I think that because the game is so slow moving, and especially in the early game, it's slow to move forward, it's hard to hook you in if you're starting a new game. Or at least it was for me. Um, because there are things like, okay, sleeping in the street. Okay, well that's a mechanic to avoid paying for to avoid paying for the inn. Instead of buying an inn pass, you can sleep in the street, and then you sleep there, and then you run the rest of your stuff getting stolen. Um, or you can go to the forest and sleep there. The issue is, early in the game, you can only move 1-to-1. So, like, if I start in the main city area and then I move to the forest, I can't move back to the city area. I got to stay in the forest. If you sleep there, it's kind of like home base where you're not going to get robbed. But if you're in the forest and then you go back to the main city and then you have to sleep, there's no other option for you before you buy the pass to use the inn besides sleeping in the street, which means you'll lose money or things that you have to sell. Either way, there's a financial loss to that. Um, and from what I've seen, they in the game it says like, oh, there's a chance it'll happen. I've yet to encounter what that is, and it seems to, as you do better, take away more money. So it's like, well, fuck. Well, I gotta buy the pass then, and then it's just like, okay, well, I gotta buy the pass. The pass is what 100, 100, whatever the currency is, gold, I guess. Like, all right, so I got to pay for that, and then that's how I'm gonna avoid paying this other fine. It's like, okay, great. Um, and it's just things like that throughout it that I'm like, I don't know. And it's like we're dealing in such small numbers that it's like, okay, to get the large bag, what was it like 300? Yeah, because it was 600 to get to the third town, and it was half of that to get the large bag. And it took so long because you're dealing with at most and with a certain amount of RNG luck selling for one to get 2 gold back. Because if you buy it with one and then sell back with two, or sell back to three, and even then it's like I think the most lucky I got was I would like to buy 5 junk from you for 3 apiece, which gives you 15, and if you bought it for 3, you made a profit of 12. Okay, great. Those are few and far between. More often than not, you're going to find people who are trying to do it for 2, which means that you're only making 1 gold per that you sell. And that's kind of a problem. That's kind of a problem that I think this game needs to reckon with to an extent. Um, I don't know that this is a great game. I think that there is a certain class of person who will enjoy this game. There is a certain subset of people who will like this game. It's like how on all of those games I talked about earlier, they all kind of look the same. The hyper specific simulator games all have an audience, and people really enjoy those games. I don't know that this is a game that is going to. I think someone may enjoy this because it's basically a stock market simulator. Buy low, sell high, walk around, talk to people, and that's it. But I don't know if this game is in active support, which is kind of another big question I have. It's like, is there going to be more content coming forward? Because like when you read the description, like let me bring the description up on Steam. And I think that was kind of part of my disappointment. Is I read the description, I'm like, oh shit, that sounds cool. Um, like is a tiny retro-inspired traveling merchant game. Take control of merchant as you buy goods at low prices and sell them in different towns at higher prices. And I think part of that is that it's like when you hear that, you're like, oh, you're going to be going around in like this retro styled like fantasy world. So you're going to be buying specific things like, oh, you're going to buy potions, you're going to buy elixirs, or I'm using Pokemon terminology, like or things like that, like and you're going to sell them to people. Like there's a world in which that works, but you basically have like 3 classes of things, and one of which is just called junk. Like what was the I don't understand. Like there needs to be more depth to a game like this. In my opinion, I think that you can't have a game like this that's just as bare bones as it is, without having that depth. And I think the thing is too, it's like the fact that each city buys and sells the exact same thing at different rates throughout the day. That's another thing that kind of doesn't quite click for me as a player. Like, I'm not saying that we need to have a ton of different stuff or anything like that, but the idea that, you need to, everything's going to be the exact same is, I would say, questionable. Like, I think you need to do more because then it incentivize me to put more thought into it. Because at this point, it's just really simple. It's just keeping an eye on, like, all right, well, how much did I pay for this initially? How much, what did I pay for this now? How much is this worth now? All that kind of stuff. Like, I don't think that necessarily is great here. And at the end of the day, that's kind of the biggest problem that I have with the game. I'll say it's a 3, because like I've said before, this game does have a really good art style, and I think the art style does do a lot to really, sell it as, something fun. But at the same time, the lack of depth does leave a lot to be desired, especially for what this game is advertised to be. Like, this game is meant to be a merchant in an N64 style fantasy game. It's really just a texture though. Like, at the end of the day, all it is it's a texture for a pretty good and for what it is. If you're gonna call it a stock market simulator, which would be the closest way I would say, it's an interesting skin on that idea. So that's why I say it's 3. Even though it sounds like I've been very down on it, I think the art style does carry it through, and I encountered minimal glitches, which is another thing that I really enjoyed about it, is that the game played well. Um, and I do know that there is going to be people who enjoy this type of game. Just go into it with your expectations set. Don't go into it like I did, expecting it to be this big, giant, what's it called? This big, giant, kind of expansive world, which is what, the description kind of sold it to me as. Um, but I enjoyed it enough. If there's an update, I may go back to it. Or, but I don't foresee that. I don't foresee going back to it unless there is a major update that's gonna make me be like, oh, well, I got to go back and see what's the new stuff in this game now. Um, which I think is, kind of a shame because I do really like the art style, but I don't think there's enough there in the gameplay for me to be like, I need to go back right now and see what's different about this. Unless there is some kind of major, major, major update. But we'll wrap up there for today. Next week we will not be doing the original plan, which was LiDAR. I think it was called LiDAR Exploration Game or something like that. Where's my list here? LiDAR Exploration Program. Next week we will be doing Blueprints, which is the what's it called? The new game that's taken the internet by storm. And I watched some gameplay of it today. And there's a non-zero chance that I end up putting a lot of time into this game because I know my gameplay style and I know the games that click with me. And that is not an exit ramp, buddy. Ooh, that was a maneuver. Although it does explain how his car got all fucked up in the past. But yeah, I don't think that, I know what games I like, and I feel like there's one that's going to be like it. But we'll wrap up there for today, and until next week when we talk about Blueprints, have a great rest of your week.